to using Nextcloud as a music streaming service. Little introduction about me. I'm Karel Trasche, also known within the hackerspace as Kai. During the day, I occupy myself. I do an infosec job for the health insurance for a couple of health insurance companies here in Belgium. I am a member for HSBXL for a number of years now, and I've been experimenting and playing with self-hosting services for about 12 years, and I'm using Nextcloud for about 5 of those. If there's any questions, you can ask. Just give a sign, and then I'll try to answer. So the first thing when I want to talk about hosting your own streaming service, we're in a world with lots of streaming services already. So why would you want to host your own streaming service? Well, there are issues with music streaming services as they exist today, with the big commercial ones. Whenever you, I think most people have experience with a streaming service. The moment when you make an account, you get this. That's one of the things you have to agree to, which is a little bit. I'm not going to read everything out, but it's basically a text that says that you don't own anything, and they can do whatever with the servers they would like, and there's nothing you can do about. You even when GDPR applies. Another one is, but that's again, I did not include this as a slide, but publicity. You could argue that, yeah, but I'm listening to adverts while I'm streaming music because I have a free service. But more and more, you get news about streaming services, be it music or video or other, where they say like, yeah, we're gonna add adverts now, even when you pay for your subscription. It's not an evolution I'm a big fan of, so I would consider that also a big negative about the big streaming services. But then, what is the alternative? Well, get music that you own. I put own in the quotation marks because copyright and stuff probably will still apply unless you only choose copyright free or like Creative Commons, but even then. But public domain music, that's a little bit easier. But what I mean by own is that you actually have a copy and you can do with that copy what you want. That is my interpretation of owning the music. Well, you can get it from record shops. They still exist. They're on a resurgence even. I know lots of little cute little record shops you can go with like really bizarre music sometimes, with owners who are very excited to tell you everything about these weird bands. You can go to flea markets. There's websites like Vinted where you can buy people's old CDs and vinyl from them. It's really cool to like find little gems and stuff. Big plus. I've started collecting CDs for 2 years now because I needed something to do during the pandemic, and this is a hobby that's gone completely off the rails. I have about 20,000 songs now, and it's going up every day. Except for vinyl and CDs and even cassettes, you could also go to online stores, like for example Bandcamp, 7 Digital, or Cobus. Or even lesser known sites like Steam, if you're into video game soundtracks, or even Newgrounds. When I was 17, I was big into the music scene on Newgrounds and like leaving commentaries on people's tracks. Haven't lost it. I've lost it. I've lost track of it a little bit. But they were a great help while making the presentation to find some music that is actually Creative Commons and I could use for the presentation here. So now you have all this music and you have maybe like bookcases full of CDs and vinyl like I do. You want to do something with it, right? Because if you want to listen to them wherever you go, potentially you need to take the CDs with you or some CDs with you and then a CD player, things that aren't really practical in most situations. And this is where Nextcloud comes in. Now I'm gonna explain a little bit what Nextcloud is. I think some people haven't used it here yet. Might be interesting for the people watching as well. Nextcloud is a file storage suite web app that is a little bit comparable with programs like Office 365 and Google Docs. With out-of-the-box functionality for file storage and sharing, a calendar, a contact list, a photo gallery, a chat application, which integrates in a range of mobile apps as well. So you can, or even there's default integrations built into Ubuntu, for example, for your calendar for the access to the files. But also for like Android, you can access your files, all the different applications you have within Nextcloud often have a companion app. Nextcloud is a fork of OwnCloud since 2016 under the GNU AGPL v3. The problem with OwnCloud was that parts for the enterprise were made under a proprietary license, and Nextcloud does not have that. Nextcloud is completely open source. As I mentioned briefly before, so the functionality of Nextcloud can be greatly extended through different apps, and this is where music will, like the music streaming, will come in a little bit later. But they have like a very extensive app store, if you want, where you can find all kinds of little extras and functionalities. So you're interested in running Nextcloud or trying Nextcloud. What do you need? How do you start using it? Well, it's actually very easy. They make it as easy as possible for you to get your hands on Nextcloud. It will run on anything hardware, like on the hardware level. It works on anything like a Raspberry Pi. It will work just fine, especially if it's just you using it. But they have just you can install it as a website, a web application in your own web server. There are Docker images, but even apps for TrueNAS, for example. So if you're running if you have a TrueNAS at home, I'm not sure if it's an officially supported app, but from the TrueNAS interface, you can just select Nextcloud and install it as a jail. Same thing with host. For people who know host, there is a module you can activate that will run a Nextcloud instance on that. I will give I made a little demo environment for you guys to try out. Well, at least if you're on site. I created it just by running these two commands. And that gives you a fully functional containerized Nextcloud instance. For trying it out, there's two ways on the website, on Nextcloud's official website. There is actually a trial site. You have to register, I think, but then you can try there. You can, for a number of hours, you have your own instance you can try. For the people on site here, I started a little Nextcloud, like I said, I did a little containerized Nextcloud instance, which you should be able to connect to through that URL, that IP address. And I gave you a little piece of paper containing a username, which is demo with a number, and a password. The first two numbers on the piece of paper you can ignore, but everything before the demo something is the password. So I would invite you to, if you want, log in with your laptop or smartphone, and you can follow along or just experiment in a way that you find interesting. You have a problem?
Yeah, can you show the IP address?
I'll leave it a little bit longer. Yeah, it's so the first two numbers you can ignore. Okay. The numbers after that is the password, and then demo with the numbers your username.
It's a username.
Yeah. Everybody got the IP address, and login works as well. All right, then it's demo time. So when you log in, actually, when you log in, it'll send you first to. It first gives you this little dashboard where different apps will give you information that are mostly time-based. Like your calendar will say what your next meetings or your next events are. It will say if somebody said something to you on Talk, the chat application. But like the main part is like the file storage system, where you have like, yeah, if you know Office 303, like OneDrive or Dropbox, you're familiar with these kinds of interfaces. You have like a whole file system. You can just add files through drag and drop. And yeah, this way you can access your files wherever you are, if you have an instance connected to the internet.
I have a question. Well, is it because I think I need this. Is it does it work well with if you want all your documents like you, so in Windows or in Linux you can just point to a network drive and use it for that?
So Nextcloud, yeah, you can access Nextcloud through WebDAV.
Yes.
And so you could, in a Linux system, you can mount a WebDAV drive.
Okay.
Even if you're using Ubuntu, for example, it'll do that for you. Can to Ubuntu has the possibility to connect certain online accounts. If you do this for a Nextcloud account, it'll add your Nextcloud as a WebDAV drive.
Okay. There's also sync tools for.
And there are sync tools as well.
Yeah, because that's very important. Because Windows doesn't handle well.
Well, if
sync tool works okay on the
but you can mount, yeah, if you on Windows you can add a shared drive, and instead of using, for example, SMB, which is a common tool, you specify WebDAV. You point to the Nextcloud site or your Nextcloud instance, and then it will ask you for your credentials, and then you will have a shared drive on Windows that is just your it's a web-based file system. Yeah. And there's, of course, for every or most common operating systems, you have clients which do the synchronization on your drive for you, as people are known, know they have for OneDrive, Dropbox, etc. So, like I said, there's a couple of apps that are standard. Like you have your photo gallery. There's an email client, so you can connect your email account to your Nextcloud.
My password's long.
With Talk, it is possible. If you use Nextcloud with multiple users, you can actually use Talk to do chats, voice over IP, even video calling over Nextcloud instance. It does not work well with NAT. So if you're gonna host this on your home network and open the web port to your Nextcloud server at home, you might have issues with this because the communication, it's based on I forgot the name of the protocol. But yeah, the communication protocol doesn't take well with NAT, so you would need another server technically that will do the like point people to the correct client and but yeah, it works. When it works really well.
You got another one. So this one password length is not different from
Password, he got not the same length as my password.
And it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, so it's probably
wrong username and password. If you have
Oh.
the paper.
Interesting.
Yeah, I hope this one works.
Yeah, you have a contact list. So I use Nextcloud extensively through my phone. I can access the contacts on my Next. So instead of having to use Google, well, I use Android, but I don't use. It's not connected to a Google account, so I can't use my online contact list. But I actually use the one I have in Nextcloud. A calendar, which is really useful to have online. And as I said, you can extend it with all sorts of add-ons. These are things I installed. This is basically a Find My Phone application. It's not showing a lot right now. There we go. You can connect this to a phone, and then it will show you, like the phone will call back every X meters or every X seconds or minutes, and so you can see where your phone is at right now. This when you're on holiday, I like to do some adventurous holidays when I go walking through the mountains and stuff. If you have internet, this is really interesting to let people at home know where you are, especially if you're going out solo. It's really a note application. If you can imagine it, they have it. Kanban. All right, but I can talk for hours about this.
I'm already convinced.
Hmm?
I'm already convinced.
Yeah, I can talk for hours about every little functionality in Nextcloud. Is it working? Yeah. Yeah, we're here for music streaming. That's the whole point of this presentation. So as with the other things I showed, there is a music app you can download in the Nextcloud app library called Music, and it's what it does, it makes an inventory of all the music you have on your Nextcloud instance, or you can specify specifically where your music is. So on the one I use in production, if you want, I have a folder called music, and it's gonna just scan there for all the music. It just makes an inventorization. So you have a little music player already. You can, again, if this is connected to the internet, you could listen to your music through a web-based music player from wherever you are. Works really well. It also supports internet radio, so you can add radio stations or radio station streams. And podcasts, so you can subscribe to a podcast feed, and then you'll get every time there's a new episode of the podcast, you can listen it from Nextcloud itself. But this is mostly interesting when you're behind a laptop or a computer, because you need to open a website. I mean, you could use it on phone as well, but it's not the most elegant solution. So you probably sorry, there's oh, there we are. Yeah, there's a better solution when you can use an app. The music application for Nextcloud actually exposes a subsonic API, and subsonic is a media streaming center, if you want. A little bit out of scope, but on their website they actually have a list of all kinds of clients you can use. You can use with the protocol. If you go to the website, I think they haven't specified anything for the Linux desktop, which is a bit sad. But there should be for your phone, for example. In fact, I use one that is not on the site, but is available from F-Droid and Google Play, called Ultrasonic. So yeah, that's what I would use. And it's a little bit difficult to demonstrate, but what you would want to do then, you can specify the subsonic server through this URL. So that would be the server you connect to. You have to generate an API password to log in, and then you can access all the music you have in your music app from the app. Are there more questions about this? I can quickly try to do the configuration on my phone, but it's a little bit difficult because you actually it's not too easy to see what's going on my phone. If you want, I can share the music. The music I have Nextcloud with you, so you can try it yourself. That will be the most interesting for you, I think. Yep, so quick demonstration of sharing in Nextcloud. So I'll add everyone to the same group. Yeah. And then I'll share the music folder with the music group. And now, if you refresh the file part of Nextcloud, you should be able to see the music folder. Is this the case for everyone? And so I'll go briefly to the new music. So, yeah, like I said, I can play the music from my computer or from my, from the Nextcloud website. But I can also stream it to my. No, not that one. I can also stream it to my phone. You know, more nice in a nicer music streaming application than a website. Yeah, that's about it for my presentation of what I've been doing and how to stream music with Nextcloud. And are there more questions?
What's the name of the player you
I used ultrasonic. It's one that works good for me, and it's that one is available on F-Droid and Google Play as well. For iPhone, I don't have too much experience with. I can give any recommendations because I haven't.
basically point the actual URL of your Nextcloud instance?
Sorry?
So if I install this ultrasonic thing on my phone,
Yeah.
I need to configure it and point it to the URL of my Nextcloud instance wherever that's running.
Yeah. So yeah, you need if you're gonna use it on the internet, your server will need to be exposed to the internet, of course. But at that point, yeah, you have to specify your server URL, username, password. So your username is your Nextcloud user, your password is the API key you generated, and the server URL is the URL of your Nextcloud instance. What I've noticed is it uses the API key, but it will use it as a basic authentication. And some subsonic clients will by default use token-based authentication. This can give issues because it's not very well specified that it uses basic authentication. So sometimes you have to go into settings and make sure you have of the client and specify you want to use that kind of authentication.
Also, we're working on a Nextcloud instance for the X space that members can put some stuff on.
Yeah.
That you could use to host your own music that you are legally the owner of.
Yes, as all music that was used or demonstrated here is has been Creative Commons and is there's a link in the presentation files itself, or in the presentation itself, but it should all be Creative Commons and public domain. Well, I think it's all Creative Commons specifically. Has everybody been able to add music and yeah?
Question: if let's say Nextcloud is running on this machine, and on this machine my hi-fi speakers are plugged on this machine, can you remotely play the music on the machine using the website or your smartphone as a remote control to play it somewhere else?
I wouldn't use. You will have to. And everybody's welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, but you will need a separate client. The Nextcloud server itself is just a web server, so you would need to run the Nextcloud site, and then remote control it somehow, or have an actual.
I know if you're running KDE, there's a thing called KDE Connect you can put
Yeah.
on your smartphone and on your laptop where you can push play or stop that you can also use to remote control sites.
This is a really interesting project.
With the user.
Yeah. No, that would be that would make for an interesting project. I don't think you can just because it's just a server. It's a web server, right?
But it would be possible to set this up.
But
with
you would be able,
additional
yeah.
tools. You need additional
You would need additional tools. So you would, I don't know,
Maybe the
connect.
clients and remote
What's,
Yeah.
what's your laptop running? What's the laptop that you want to do this from?
Yeah.
Is it running Ubuntu? Is it
Yeah,
running,
whatever.
Okay. There's a thing both for KDE and for GNOME that you can use to control any streaming video or audio that's running on your laptop. For KDE it's called KDE Connect, and for GNOME it's called
GS Connect.
GS Connect. It requires an additional client
Like-
on your laptop, and it requires a software.
If you want, like, so the idea is to have a little device that gets the music stream and then gives an output on a hi-fi set, right, on speakers, I think the easiest way to make that work is get a Raspberry Pi, for example, with Kodi or LibreElec installed, which gives you a Kodi instance. Installing a subsonic or even Ampache. I don't know on the top of my head what kind of apps are available in the standard repositories. I think there's an Ampache. The configuration of Nextcloud in Ampache is about the same. So Ampache and Subsonic serve the same, solve the same problem in the context of Nextcloud music streaming. But then you would be able to configure Nextcloud as your Ampache or Subsonic server within Kodi, and then you would be able to remotely configure Kodi. Kodi has a remote app for Android, has a web interface from where you can actually.
You could also, Kodi can also talk to WebDAV shares, so you could go like that.
But then no, that's true. But then you're bypassing the whole
Yes.
music app.
Yes.
So, yeah, the sky's the limit.
It's almost as if these open source tools are used.
Right? Who would have thought? All right, that would be it for me. More questions about the music or even Nextcloud in general? I like to think I know some.
What extent do you use the calendar?
It is my calendar.
Okay.
I use it all the
Any
time.
subscriptions on the calendar from other services?
Is it exposing like an iCal URL?
So, we can actually demonstrate this, I think. Well, I don't have an iCal URL ready, but it is. It's a very good question. I think so.
So, but you use the SoundCloud app on your phone for your calendar needs.
Sorry?
You use the SoundCloud app on your phone to access your calendar.
Nextcloud.
SoundCloud.
Yeah,
Nextcloud.
Nextcloud. Yeah. Yes. Well, there's it's what's it called? I forgot. The Nextcloud app will, if you want to use the calendar from Nextcloud through the Nextcloud app, there's another app that needs to be installed, but the Nextcloud app will guide you through the steps. But it's called, and I always forget the name. Davix 5, like 5 as in squared. I don't know. What would you say, like this? To the power of 5, which is basically that will do the connection between your Nextcloud calendar and a local calendar app on your phone, your to-do list, your contact list, and potentially more stuff. But that the Nextcloud, the official Nextcloud app will guide you through the steps to set up your calendar from Nextcloud to your phone, your contact list from Nextcloud to your phone, etc.
Okay, so the contact list also syncs or integrates in your phone like a true contact list, like you can.
Yeah. So as I said, I'm actually not connected with a Google account on my Android phone. So instead of having an offline local list of contacts, I have a contact list in my Nextcloud that is synced with my phone.
Yeah, because you can just add a CalDAV account on your phone, and then you don't need another application for your calendar.
Your mileage may vary. You need.
Apparently.
Do you have? Is it Android or
Well, that's
iPhone?
on iOS. They have a page on iOS
So-
synchronized with everything actually.
Yeah, I don't have too much experience on the iOS front, so I wouldn't be able to say exactly how it would go down on iOS.
Well, I think CalDAV is right.
But yeah, that's what it's based on. So
So you could do this on iOS, probably Android too. My problem, because I use the Google Calendar, I imported the calendar from Facebook for the events, but that doesn't work to sync to my local. Yeah.
you can export. So you can export the address to import
yes.
on iOS.
But does it export all your calendars, even the ones you imported? That's
Well, for the ones you imported, I actually. I don't actually know. I never. I don't actually try to import any external calendars. What you can do is share a calendar with somebody else on your Nextcloud instance. And there are ways, if you want to go even further, to have like federation and connect different Nextcloud instances together. But that's for mostly for enterprise, in enterprise context. But like I've been using my Nextcloud instance for another organization I'm part of, where we share a calendar. So somebody made a calendar, it is shared with everybody else who has also an account on Nextcloud, and then from there everybody can have access. But yeah, that's an interesting question.
There's something with importing subscriptions that just, or syncing subscriptions that just doesn't work. Because I thought, yeah, maybe I'll just import thing instead of. I synced it to my iCloud account, but it only works on my macOS, not on my iOS, because the link is not secure or whatever. I don't know. So that's the reason I want to maybe try like that.
Yeah. So here you can specify a link. So it is probably possible and use subscription from link.
Yeah.
So you can import something, but I wouldn't be able to say exactly how. It's gonna be read-only.
Yeah.
As it specifies here. But I don't know exactly what kind of. I know some more popular and commercial calendar services make it difficult to just import their calendar anywhere else. So purposefully. Well, I don't have any proof, so but yeah, probably. Allegedly. Any more questions? Yeah? No? Go ahead.
I wanted to ask which services do you allegedly?
I'm not gonna name names.
But it's not Facebook. I think I should.
No? More questions? All right. Thank you very much.